Well, hello everyone, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. Welcome back to Southeast Louisiana. It is March 16th, 2025. Well folks, today is the day. So 2 days ago I went through and did all the hard work, and the hard work for splitting. And remember, this is not a how-to video. This is a how I do video, because I do things different sometimes. I do things the same sometimes. What I'm doing today is pretty similar to what you've seen other folks do though. And that is, I am splitting hives over excluders. Basically, I went through a couple days ago and moved a lot of brood to the piece that's going off of the split without the queen, so that they have something to sustain themselves as we make a new queen. And I left a lot of open space for the queen herself, who I'm going to leave in the location. With the exception of 2 that had swarm cells already. And one of those I left the queen on the top, where I'm going to move her. Everybody is getting moved without a queen, and the original queen staying in her spot. That does something for me though. It does 2 things. First thing it does, it makes it very difficult to hold them from swarming, because leaving her in the same spot with all those bees, she's going to recoup very fast. And when she does, I'm gonna have to keep my eye on her, because we go through 2 months of swarm season here before we really get an honest to goodness flow, especially if the privet doesn't, just kind of halfway comes in. And we gotta watch them. So I'll probably end up pulling nukes off of them as well later, because she'll just grow. So you say, well, why don't you move her? Well, number 2, the reason I don't move her, the other thing it does for me, it almost guarantees me a box, about 3 boxes of honey on that colony, as long as I don't let them swarm. She will build up nice and fast and be peaked really a little early, but that's hoping for some privet or something else to come in before the tallow. So it's kind of a gamble, but at the same time, it does guarantee me a few boxes of honey on each of those hives where I leave her. And I'm putting in cells on the ones I move without the queens. And what those are going to do now is they will allow me to have a laying queen in the next 2 weeks. So that gives her a month and a half to really build her workforce for the tallow flow. If I move the queen, which I will in a couple of them, like I said, a couple of them already had swarm cells, or almost complete swarm cells, so I definitely want to move them, because I don't want them to think they, I want to simulate the swarm. The queen will do good, and she'll make honey for me. But the new one, it's not always a guarantee when I leave them in that same spot. And I don't know what the reason is for that, why it works out that way a lot of times, but it just works out to where, for whatever reason, she can stumble easier. I don't know why, whether it's because the cell is not taken as easily, because there's so many field bees, I don't know. But in the end, I've just had better success this way, although it is a lot more work. So that's what we're going to do today. This is the easy part now. The hard part's done, splitting up the colonies, physically splitting them and equalizing them. I equalize them by colony, not by yard. So each colony is equalized and configured the way that I want them configured when I move them. And now today, all I do is I move the colonies off, put them on a bottom board in a new location. In a lot of cases, I'll reverse the bottom board, because they have to have a queen that has to go out on a mating flight. I don't want her on a stand where there's 4 other white boxes with all the entrances facing the same way, and she comes in and hits the wrong one. If I've got them backwards, she has to come out the back, reorient to the back, and when she comes back, it seems to be a better chance of getting her back safely. So that's all I got to do. So what I do is I pull them off, put them on bottom boards. I wait a few hours, and I come in and lay cells in them. It's easy as that. Went and picked up cells yesterday. Plus I have cells that'll be ready in another week or so. So we're covered on queens for the most part. Just for your information, as far as me in being a little bit behind here, we're just now getting the water oaks popping the leaves. They're just now starting to pop. Usually by this time they're popped and have already turned green. But yeah, that cold did something. But anyway, good thing is there's nectar flowing now. So we're gonna get busy and pull some of these splits. I think I got about 9 to pull off. That's it. And I want to check that queen in that one split that I left that queen on top. I want to see if she's doing okay, because we don't have a lot of cold weather, and that's that colony on the far left there. That queen is on top in that box, and the bottom is has queen cells. So the cool weather is kind of knocked off, so I don't need her over that double screen anymore. She's actually a split. They've been split for 2 weeks now, so I should have an emerging virgin queen in the bottom here pretty quick. So I'm gonna move that one today as well. Maybe later though, because that's nothing more than just moving it and putting a lid down on it. So anyway, let's get busy moving these others. This is where we get our increase, splits, and then anything above and beyond, we can make nukes and sell those later, just so we keep our number about where we want it for honey production. But I want my increases so I have my honey production that I'm looking for. That's always the goal, is to get the increases done, then we worry about excesses later. Not to mention any swarms and all that we catch is going to fill spots. All right, so before we begin ripping off colonies and stirring everybody up, let's stir this one up first. This is our split. See, here's the rear entrance. They're using it already. So what's going to happen when I move this, I'm going to lose field bees to this colony. They're also using the crack in the front. So that's why I want to go ahead and move the queen now that I know the threat for really, really cold weather is off. And she's sustainable at this point, I'm pretty sure. But that's what we're going to check, just see if she's sustainable. May have to give her a frame of honey because she still has fondant on there. Not a big deal, though. Nothing we can't fix. But hopefully nectar's coming in now enough. I didn't bring a lid, but I'm not going to move her right now. I just want to make sure she's ready to move. She will get moved today, though. I'm going to reserve a spot for her. But this is just about seeing if she's going to be okay to move, because, you know, her population is down. See, they're barely touching the fondant anymore. Not a ton of bees in there as far as, you know, major. I say 5 frames of bees, it looks like. But that's okay, because the field bees are on the bottom. This thing is overflowing. So we're going to throw some smoke to them. And she'll grow just fine. But this is one of the main reasons I leave the queen in her spot. And I don't recommend this when I'm talking to like beginners or people learning how to do splits. I always tell them, if it was me and I was just starting, I would move the queen like I'm doing on this one, because it's just, you down here, you just have to manage swarming for so long, and she's growing down there. But because I know I have to do it, I'm okay. But I want to make sure I actually got her in here. Yeah, a lot of nectar and pollen. That's good. That's good to see the nectar. So I don't think I need to even put honey in here. She's not huge, so they're not going to consume a lot. Yeah, she'll lose a lot of field bees. So what I may do is give her, I might even give her a frame of nurse bees. No, she's laying this up really good. It's all baby itty bitty larvae. We definitely have our queen in the top like we planned. There are eggs in here. So she don't have a lot. I'll probably give her, I'm going to dig a frame of brood out for this later, because she'll suffer now. She's going to be down on population. This is all brood that's going to emerge. So that's numbers for her. We want her to have numbers, but she's going to definitely need another frame of brood, and that's no problem. I'll mark her as needing a frame. And that is the only thing about the vertical split I don't like, is when we leave her on here this long, we reorient a lot of her field bees when they start coming into the back. Well, then when we move it, now we lose those field bees. That's why it's important to build them big. But that's easy enough. I can actually, even when I pull this off, I can pull a frame of nurse bees and shake in here. They all get along, so. Yeah, she's got plenty of brood. It's going to emerge. That's a good thing. And a shake of bees and maybe another frame of brood will definitely help her. But I'll worry about that this week. Oh, there's the queen right there. There she is. I missed her on the first go around on that, when I had that frame over there. She's on top of the rail. Get up. She's going over the top. She's going over the top. She's going over the wall, people. She's going over the wall. Get back in there. Get back in there. Nerve-wracking. Look at her. Look at her. She wants to be rebellious. All right, let's get her. Oh, she's on the top still. Let's get her back in here. All right, so this one's set. She's laying. She's good. We're going to move it later on, and we'll give them some nurse bees and maybe a frame of brood. We'll see. But I'll do that this week. But we'll move her either way later. One of the questions I get a lot of, and I had the same question when I was a new beekeeper, and I get it from newer beekeepers a lot of times, are moving splits and how far you need to move them. You read places because of reorientation, moving 5 miles and all that, and that's great. And really, I think if we do a split and we want to keep all the field bees, we do a good even split, shake bees in, close it up, close the entrance, put it on a trailer or back of a truck and take it away 5 miles. That is an ideal split, no doubt. Because now you keep all the field bees, you keep the whole split together. But you know, that's not really practical for a lot of folks. It's definitely not practical for me. And so I always tell them, well, you can move it right next to the one you have. It doesn't matter. The difference is you just lose field bees. So for that reason, I always recommend just make sure, just do 2 and 2. 2 and 2. And that is, if it's a nuke, do 2 frames of brood, 2 shakes of bees. If it's a regular split, then I want at least 5 frames of brood, at least. Maybe 6 would be even better for the one I'm moving, and 2 shakes of bees. So 5 and 2, that's my rule of thumb. And that way I can take that thing, put all the bees, shake the nurse bees in, because nurse bees are going to stay. Any flying bees will fly out. Whatever's left in there, they'll leave later wherever you put them, and they're going to fly back to the main colony. But always remember, what you leave in that spot is getting all those field bees back. But splitting right next to each other, no problem. I do it all the time. That's what I'm going to do today. There's a thing called the Harbo split too, where you can take 2 colonies, or you can split a colony. For example, this one, because we know there's so many ways to split. But say I was going to split this one, which I am actually, and I want to kind of share the population. I would take this one, okay, split it next to it, put the bottom boards right next to each other, and then close off this side of the entrance, and on the one on the left, that side of the entrance, and leave the center area open. They would actually share the field bees, and then you move them away later. That's called, they call it a Harbo split, and that works good. So it just goes to show you can move them right next to each other. There's many ways to do this, that shares field bees that way. So many ways to think about it, but knowing the basic bee biology, what bees do and how they operate, the very basics, really helps us understand what we're doing and why we're doing it and how to mitigate the variables. Because the absolutes, the few that there are, knowing them, bee biology, helps us mitigate the variables that show up in our operation when we're struggling trying to keep bees alive and make honey or make more bees or just enjoy our bees. So there you go. That's my 2 cents of how I do and what I like to try and know. All right, folks, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. So I just pick hives and start moving them. I kind of like to know where they went, just because I like to see the health. And say, for example, I messed up and just messed around and was shaking bees and didn't get the queen in the bottom. I kind of like to know, if I see a queen in there, where she came from in case I need to recombine or something like that. I don't know if I have enough spots. I may have to move some next door. No problem. I just set the thing on the tailboard of the trailer, throw the hive on there, we take it next door. Here we go. So we'll slap a lid on there. All right, that split's done. Split done. A lot of bees in here, so we'll be pulling nukes off this later for sure. Good gracious. The reason I find it so important to make sure we got a lot of brood in the top is because we're taking all these bees over here, and all these field bees are going to go back, and that the colony is going to be packed. And when it's packed, then we kind of got a situation where there's not a lot of bees left over here, and we need them to sustain themselves while they're making a queen. That's the reason. But I do this each year. It seems to work out. And I mix and match. I don't always. Like, we're going to move 1 queen, 2 queens actually. Total of 3 queens. So, yeah. So something else I'll say that I try not to do, and I forget sometimes and do it anyway, but I'm careful about how much smoke I put on them when I open them. I don't want to smoke bees down back through the excluder. I want to keep my nurse bees up high. If I start smoking them and pushing them, I lose population, and we need population. Granted, we have brood in there that's going to help us, but that's got to sustain them for another 2.5 to 3 weeks. And push comes to shove, if things go downhill, can always swap spaces with other colonies that are strong. Let me show you what I'm gonna do with these now. These are a little different because we gotta move these next door. So this is all I'm gonna do. So this one is queen, the queenless split. We're gonna pull the lid. They're usually pretty good. Pop this box off the excluder. Ooh, it's a box of bees here. We're gonna take them over. Ooh, they're pretty heavy too. That's good. And we're just going to stick them on a bottom board on the trailer. I'm going to put a lid on them. Transport them to the new location. And we got one over here that's got a queen in it we're going to move. We want to be careful we don't have her on the lid. So. And we want to check the excluder real good. Definitely don't want to smoke this one. And we're going to simply move it over. This one had some starter cells. Shouldn't have any because we're in the excluder in, but we'll check. Oh, the excluder came with it. Well, that's fine too. They wouldn't have swarmed without her, obviously, and it's only been a couple days, but still check for cells. I'm gonna leave that excluder there for now. Let's just make sure they didn't start any new ones because they did have a few cups. I'm gonna look under here real quick. Just pull it up like so. Take a quick look. Oh yeah, they sure did. Let's show you what they did. They built one. So you say, well, Mike, you could leave that in there. I could. I don't know how many others are in there. But what I don't want to do is, I don't want them to swarm with my virgin. But if you look right here, there's one cell. Now that could have been there from the day before, actually. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, that might have been there, because I don't know that I checked the bottom. Yeah, I did. I had to if I went through here, but nonetheless, that's just one. So we got to keep an eye on this one. I'm going to give them one cell, and they're going to get some space so they know they're okay. We've taken the queen from them, so they know they can't take off with her, and they only have one cell, so we'll just see what they do. If not, we'll merge them. That's all we'll do is merge them. So here's what we've got to do. And the reason these are out and I'm showing you these is what we have to do now is grab up some deeps. We got to make up some deeps. So that's what we're going to do. What I'm doing right now is leaving the queenless side of the split just to calm down. Okay, they're all moved off so they don't have a lot of field bees. All the field bees will go. So it's going to be left with just nurse bees and brood. I left a lot of brood in them, and we're going to just leave them like that. And those nurse bees are good and calm. So what I have to do later is on those is drop a cell in between the frames. Now, Greg Dunn, he said he don't mess with all that going in the brood and all that. I think he watched my video, was trying to say something to me. I believe that's what he was trying to say. So I'm gonna do what Greg Dunn does up in Mississippi. I'm not gonna put him in the brood. I would pull him out, stick the cell in there, and drop him back in. But I did that. That was just a preference. But anyway, I've also just dropped them between the frames, and that's what we're going to do. So those we'll do later this afternoon toward evening. So right now, all that is calming down. Field bees are leaving there, going back to the original locations, which means the original locations are loaded with bees and a queen, which means if we leave them in that single, we're just pushing them out to swarm. So anything that's, so my signal was I left the excluder behind the hive that had the queen in it. So everything that's got an excluder, with the exception of the one that we moved the queen in, gets a deep box. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, is I'm gonna build up a deep box, and basically I'm gonna throw 4 drawn combs and 6 foundations in each box, and we're just gonna go slap them on top of the singles to give that queen and her bees some room to go up. I'm not gonna seed any frames. I don't think it'll be a problem not doing it. Just gonna, I don't know, I say that, then I get in there and I usually do it, but nonetheless they need space. So that's what we're gonna do the rest of the afternoon, which it's only gonna take me about a half hour, 45 minutes to break out some frames. But that will make sure that we take care of those queens and give them space to grow in the next month. Still probably gonna have to pull a nuke off of each one of those, because I'm gonna tell you, down here we will still have problems with swarming later. That's the plan. Then we put cells in later, and look, we hope the cells take. You know, we basically made, so far, well, I got a bee on my face. We basically made a dozen splits, which means we take a dozen and we turn them into 24. Well, that's great in theory, but we may not get 100% take on our queens, maybe have some bad cells, who knows? So that's what we do from here on out, is monitor them. But we have been able to fill up all of our stand spots. So that's the goal of splitting, is swarm control and increases, and we've done that. And so we just hope that as many make it as possible and requeen and do their thing, and that'd be great. And if they don't, well, we recombine them, we do requeen them, we do something. All right, folks, here you go. Got them built up now. We got 9 of them. Majority of them have 5 frames and the rest foundation, which I may, a couple of them may have 6. I may end up seeding one up. Just, I got time. It's a beautiful day, nice breeze, and all I'm doing is just kind of taking my time doing bees today. But right now we're just gonna go place these on. So folks, simply put, if it's got an excluder, it gets a double. So excluder gets it, that means there's a queen still there. They need space. This one, no excluder. That one, no excluder. And they actually facing backwards tells me that they definitely get a queen cell. All right, folks, we're out here. We're gonna place some cells. It's been a couple hours, probably 3 hours since we broke these down. And I'm gonna place them between the frames, because Greg Dunn said he don't do all that, but I've always done all that. But because he don't do all that, I'm not gonna do all that. No. Now, if they're very populated, I'll drop them on the frames. If they're not, I'm gonna drop them in the brood, just because there's still cool nights going on. They're all nurse bees. The only colony I'm gonna use a cell protector on is the one that I left in place with a bunch of field bees. So yeah, so like this one, I'm gonna take this cell, I'm gonna put it right here. You don't have to do this, I know, but I'm going to, because there's just not a lot of bees in here. There's plenty of brood to come out though. That's all fresh brood with pollen. So we lost a lot of field bees, so I feel better just sticking it down in there in the heat. There you go, and that's all I'm gonna do. So there you go, Greg Dunn. I went ahead and stuck it in the brood anyway. How about that? I'm just messing with Greg. Greg's a great guy. I see him at the club meetings in Purvis when I'm able to make it. Wasn't able to make it last time I was sick. Sometimes you get good cells, sometimes you don't. You don't know what's gonna happen. All we can do is put them in and wait and see. And that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, now this has got a good population. Right there. Let's put it right there. That's what we're going to do with that. I forgot to turn the record on, but I did this one. I smoked them all down already, but this thing was huge. I thought I had the camera on. It was covered in bees. I'm like, yes, that's a nice split. So we're going to have to watch this one and be careful with it. There's the cell. Stuck it right there. Enough bees to keep it warm up top. Now this one I'm going to use a cell protector on because this has got a bunch of field bees. This is the one where I actually moved the queen off the top. And they got a bunch of field bees. We put a double on them a little while ago so that they would have room because they were trying to make cells. We cleaned the cell off. They're good to go now. We got to put a cell down in that first box. And you'll say, well, why didn't you leave the other cell? I didn't want to take any chances. I don't want to leave but one cell on a colony that's thinking about leaving. Don't want to give them a lot of options. The colonies that are just nurse bees that we've moved off, they're pretty calm and collected, and they'll accept cells pretty easy. These though, they won't. They can get a little ornery when we haven't given them a lot of time. See, they're already getting nasty. It's not going to go all the way in, but it'll go in enough. And we got to find a spot away from these strips. They got to be able to keep this warm. Stick it right here. There we go. They're already up in this top box cleaning up on some frames. I did seed some of these. A couple of them I did it depending on what the colony looked like. If they didn't have a lot of bees, I didn't seed the frame up in the top. This one I think I just threw it on top. Oh, this isn't good. This is another good one too. So we got one so far that's just not looking real good right off the bat. Gonna have to watch it. I'll go right there. Oh, there's a lot of heat coming out of that. It's cool out so you can feel the heat. There we go. Well, there you go, folks. That is my day. It was a nice, easy day. Just took my time, shot a lot of video, moved a few splits, made some boxes. We're good to go. So, a nice, easy day. I like it. We're getting caught up slowly but surely. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. That's my splits. Remember, not a how-to. This is how I do. It's something that I did. It's just, for me, it's an easy way to do it for knowing where I'm moving stuff. I've got two that I'm kind of worried about. Kind of sketchy, but I'll easily just go in and lay some brood in there. And the rest, we're going to do some more inspections as we go. It's getting busy, folks. So anyway, I appreciate all y'all watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.